Here's the water in Ocean Quay with fish in down there. I mean, the water is incredibly clear. This is our last day, and it's the MSC's own island called Ocean Quay. We got off the boat at 10. As soon as you get off the boat, you're met with the rentals kiosk to rent, kayaks and wave runners and everything like that. Everything is booked, everything, the whole day. Not only that, but it's $234 per wave runner, per person, per adult, and I think about 80 for the kids, which is insane. So not only they're all booked out, MSC are making tens of thousands of dollars, which is crazy. So anyway, so we've gone to the Bimini Beach, which is the other side of the island, and they escort you there. They escort you anywhere you want on these electric buggies where everyone kind of gets on. There's like 20 people per buggy. And so we've gone to Bimini Beach, but they want $39 per deck chair or $52 per deck chair, covered with like a little seashell sea clam hood, which are these. And then it's just ridiculous pricing. Now, if you got the drinks package, which we do, everything's comped. So you can eat and drink for free, but where am I going? But yeah, it's remarkably expensive. This is a real shame. So I'm heading back to the ship, and the other guy, I can't go this way. And the other guys are staying here because they wanted to swim. Just think it's the last day, it's overcast, there's no waves, the sea is fairly cold, and I just think I can get back on the boat, I can start packing, which needs to be done because we're kicked off the ship bright and breezy tomorrow morning, and at least there's activities on the boat. So that's it. It's a beautiful place, but it's just so crowded. Obviously, the only ship here that is allowed here is MSC, but everyone's got off the ship, and I don't know whether you can see, but every deck chair over there is full. There's no waves, which is really, really cool for the kids, but you're not going to see fish in there. Basically, you're going to see them in the little lagoons, which you're not allowed to go in because they're roped off. So it's a pity. I was looking forward to coming here, but I'm not going to spend, even if there were rentals, I'm not going to spend $250 for a wave runner. That's ridiculous money. Like for an hour's rental, it's just insane. So that's it. Real shame, but gonna get back on the ship and gonna take a video of the entire boat. That's what I want to do anyway, and pause it. And that's it. It's been an amazing holiday. I asked Debbie last night whether she would do another cruise, and she was like 1,000,000% yes. I've got to say, the boat in its entirety, and I'm going to do this on another video, is fabulous. There's more than enough activities for the kids. It's very roomy. There are a lot of things that let it down. For example, it's just simply too busy. When you go on top deck on a nice day and you want to get a deck chair, there are fights over them. Even though there are signs saying that you can't, put your towels down for longer than half an hour, people do. And when you try and take more than 2 beds, and we've got a party of 8, so at least 3 or 4 beds would be nice. a couple of times people have just kind of commandeered the other two, and there's really nothing that you can do short of having an argument at sea, which I'm not really interested in doing. So that's one gripe. Also, the restaurant on deck 7, where it's not the buffet, it's actually the restaurant, where we are all sitting together, but the food, the service is abysmal. Last night, it took over 35 minutes just to get our drinks, and then another hour to get starters, which, by the way, were all cold and wrong. When I complained, they bought me especially, the kids hadn't eaten, right? They bought me my French onion soup. This was over an hour and 20 minutes, and that was cold. So we were like going mad. Jamie was really fuming because Lissy was crying. She wasn't hungry because it was like 9:30 at this point. The boys, thankfully, their food finally came and they ate a little bit. Lissy's finally came, but it was a struggle just to get her to eat anything, the poor girl. And yeah, ours finally came, and it was like dry and uneventful. It was just grim. We spoke to the manager, who said, "Don't worry, I will make sure that your food comes out hot." So I said, "No, I'm not looking for that. You're going to have to do something about this." Anyway, she was an absolute job's worth, and that's, her total control, or her total management experience was, "I'll just get you fresh food." And not only the food, when it did come, was fresh, half of it was wasn't fresh, half of it was cold. So a bit of a joke. Last night was a disaster. What else happened? Did win at the casino though, so I'm very, very happy about that. The casino is brilliant, it has to be said. If you're a gambler, it's so much fun. People are lovely. The dealers are brilliant. And the other things about the boat that are exceptional, as like I said about the entertainment for kids, the shows, the bumper cars, the cliff swing, the water slides, they are all great. There's basketball, there's football, there's laser tag. There's so much for the kids to do. And whilst the boys and Lissy have not done kids club, I'm sure that that's probably really good as well, even though the other reviews that I've seen are less than complimentary about kids club. Like, people are saying it's far better on Royal Caribbean, and I'm sure it is, but you're paying twice as much to sail on Royal Caribbean. Now, interestingly enough, the other ports that we've gone to, I spoke to passengers who were on the Star of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's flagship boat, and they're saying it's not great. They were let down by the food, they were let down by the amount of people that were on board. I think there's 6,000 guests on our one and 2,000 workers, and you can feel it, right? The boat during buffet time is ridiculous. And their boat, the Star, which is slightly bigger, I think it's 250,000 gross tons, whereas ours is like 220,000 gross tons. They have 10,000 people on, 8,000 guests, and 2,000 or 2,500 staff. I think that those are roughly the numbers. So we looked into the Star because of the shows, for example. The after dinner shows are brilliant. Here's the thing. When we booked this cruise, we were told that you couldn't book entertainment, i.e. you couldn't book the evening shows until you were on board. Well, as soon as we got on board, the app just wouldn't play ball, and we weren't allowed to book via the app for these shows. And then by the time it did start working, everything was sold out. So I am thinking that the Royal Caribbean might be twice as much, and the shows might be twice as good, or even 3 times as good. But if you're going to face the same problems and you can't book on them, What's the bloody point? MSC do have this thing where I'm sure that Royal Caribbean and others have the same, which is you can show up 5-10 minutes before a show is about to kick off, and then if there's any free seats, then you can just take them. But because of that rule, everyone and his wife on the ship goes, for that slot, because they've also missed the booking schedule. So there are certain things that they need to fix. There are certain activities and things that they need to tweak. I didn't come on here thinking it would be perfect. I really, really didn't. And on the whole, the ship's been amazing. The staff have been amazing, bar in the restaurant, who are particularly useless. So I'm back at the ship now. I've left all of the guys. I mean, it's impossible to comprehend the size of this thing. That's the front of the ship, and that's where all of the... I think that's the front of the ship. I can never tell. Do you know what? Now I'm thinking that that's the front of the ship, and I think that that is the front of the ship. Our cabin is in this inlet here. It's one of these rooms. So that was Ocean Quay, which is beautiful, but very crowded. I'm gutted about the price of the wave runners. I'm gutted that you can't really go and see fish. So it is what it is, but I'm glad to be here. It's the last day of holiday. I'll be delighted to get off this ship and spend the other 4 days in Miami doing some shopping and doing the Everglades. So this is Kyle from Ocean Quay out